There in the streets of Philadelphia. I want to point out our own Lee Carter, you know her, she's a pollster, she was just here earlier, and she was saying that she's seen a lot of organization efforts that happened on Facebook, including some friends of hers who were invited via Facebook to participate in these protests. So they were certainly organizing. We have also heard reports that they may have been organizing ahead of everything because they just kind of wanted to stick it to Donald Trump, thinking that he was going to lose. Surprise, surprise. Anyway, Evan Siegfried, Harlan Hill, Charles Hurt, Gina Loudon, and Leslie Marshall, the whole team, back with me right now as we continue watching these thousands of people there in Philadelphia. So, Evan, you think this was all very orchestrated?
Well, I think there was a certain level of orchestration. I actually spoke to some friends who are very liberal in New York City, and they were telling me how, last week, how they were planning to come to Trump Tower tonight to sort of say, ha-ha, you lost Donald Trump. And obviously that's not happening, and now they're having some sort of weird cathartic thing going on at Trump Tower.
You know, we've been talking throughout the evening about the possibility for change, the opportunity. Heard Dr. Gorka talking about it on an international scale. The way that we will interact with other countries and other leaders will be very different. There's a lot on the agenda in the way of repealing Obamacare, putting in something else, and economic change in the way of tax deductions, lower taxes for corporations, for individuals, and less regulation. Where do you begin, Harlan? If you're Donald Trump, what is number one right now?
He says he's going to repeal and replace Obamacare. And that's a really tall order. I mean, I think that that's very bold. Obama tried to go down the same path when he was elected and tried to ramrod through health care reform, and that took him much longer than he thought it would, and it was a total distraction. If I were advising Donald Trump, even though I think repealing and replacing Obamacare is very important, I think that there's a lot of economic relief that the American people need at this point that I would focus my attention on to begin with. Cut taxes. Let's take a look at regulations. I would put aside infrastructure spending at first because I'm not sure that, you know, just throwing money at these big projects makes sense. I think Obama fell for the same trap when he was elected in 2008 as well.
That $800 billion spent. And by the way, it was like money into nowhere.
Exactly.
He would need to make sure that the government was spending that money wisely, for sure. But infrastructure is one of the things he's talked about. Charles, you know, 71 days left for President Obama. What does he do in the meantime? I'll ask you even about Hillary Clinton and whether he prematurely pardons her if he needs to.
I wouldn't be surprised. You know, obviously that last announcement by Jim Comey changes a lot about her case, but we still believe that there is an investigation going into the Clinton Foundation, and if indeed that is true, and I believe it is true, I would not be surprised if he does not go ahead and pardon her. It would mean that President Trump doesn't have to do it. And it would, you know, he could make the argument that it puts, you know, just puts all this behind us, and we can move on to.
Right. You know, his press secretary was asked point blank, and he kind of hedged that one today, which had a lot of people speculating. Well, in fact, this is exactly what President Obama does. You know, he's again 71 days. What does he do to try and preserve his legacy? Can he? Because you know, the moment Donald Trump gets in there, there's a good shot he's going to try and reverse a lot of executive orders.
It would be an extraordinary misstep if Barack Obama is concerned about his legacy to pardon Hillary Clinton. I don't see what he gets out of that. You know, unless he thinks that she can drag him down and his legacy down because, you know, he knew about the email server and that type of thing.
It would consume the nation, certainly in a negative way, but maybe in an important way in that there need to be consequences for illegal actions. But that said, you know, he might want to preserve his own reputation, his own legacy, and that may be why we actually see a pardon sometime within the next couple months.
Yeah, and I think that we could also see a pardon of Uma Abedin and Anthony Weiner. I think that he's going to do some things and shake some things up. But Democrats in their lame duck remaining weeks of their presidency tend to take a lot more regulations, a lot more executive orders, and a lot more pardons than do their Republican counterparts. So I think we can look for a little bit of drama in that White House before it's all said and over, Trish.
Leslie, you agree with that?
Well, it depends on what he decides to do, because think about this. If you want to preserve your legacy and you have somebody who is saying, hey, look, I'm going to do these 7 things when I get into office, and if you look at the executive orders, a little more than that, to undo everything you did in your legacy, you may not pardon, because one thing that the Republicans in the House have a field day with is anything Clinton, foundation, emails, Benghazi, or anything you can tie to Clinton, which ties up time, ties up money, and makes it harder to get things done, which further angers the American people and gets them riled up to come out and vote.
The panel's got some thoughts on what you just said.
But Barack Obama is actually implicated in the email scandal. You know, he claimed and he told the American people when he addressed us that he didn't know about this private email server, and we know for a fact that he did, and that he had regular correspondence with Hillary Clinton through an email that was at hillaryclinton.com. So, I mean, he knew that this was not an official government address, and he lied to us point blank. Does he want us to litigate this in the court of public opinion for the next 6 months after his administration?
Well, to a certain extent, it has been litigated in the court of public opinion in that the people chose not to elect Hillary Clinton as the next
I think there's one other pardon that could get Barack Obama into even more trouble. Oscar Lopez Rivera is a convicted terrorist and a Puerto Rican nationalist that many Latino Democrats want to see pardoned by President Obama and released from federal prison for bombing Fonz's Tavern in New York in the late 70s. It's a very, very tricky issue, especially among Latino Democrats in the Northeast. Melissa Mark Viverito, a top Clinton surrogate, is pushing very hard.
Well, we're watching all of it. We're right here. We're not going anywhere. And just getting started. Thank you so much to all of you.